HeyFreiburger here. This is going to be a DF Extra. I'm running errands today with Mikey P, and he was a showrunner for MotorTrend shows that are now kaput. Let me see if I can get them all. Engine Masters, Hot Rod Garage, Dirt Every Day, Super Street.
Put up or shut up.
Put up or shut up. Oh, wow, I forgot that.
If these people are Facebook watchers, 3K Hooptie Challenge.
Yep.
My personal, I want to say favorite, but up there, Steve Magnate's Supermodels. Limited run series on MotorTrend. It should have been more than limited. And something else, I'm sure.
So this is going to be sort of a behind-the-scenes chat over stuff that went on all of those shows. And to give you some context, what does a showrunner even do?
I don't know, largely.
For real TV.
For real TV, and I guess sort of for MotorTrend TV also. It's sort of like oversight over the entire production.
Well, the creative side of the production.
Exactly. I don't touch budgets or numbers other than somebody telling me I need to stay within them. But it's really the creative of it. For like Hot Rod Garage, it's what car we want to build, why are we building it, what's the theme, how far are we going to go within this episode.
And giving the director some direction, and also dealing with post and the editor and the final cut.
Yes. In the production side of it, it's guardrails. It's saying like, here's how far we can get in these 4 days, because somebody like Alex and Lucky on Hot Rod Garage are going to say, oh, we can totally do all of this. And then me knowing that,
there's no chance.
We have 4 days to do this.
Yeah.
We're not rebuilding the entire car. So it's, making things reasonable and get doneable in 4 days.
And so you can see he does have the behind the scenes on all of this stuff. And actually, it goes even deeper than that, because we met when he was working for Richard Rawlings at Fast and Loud.
Yeah, Trip Rawlings. What year was that? 2015, 16? What was the first ROADKILL Nights?
Yeah, it was the first ROADKILL Night, so that makes it 12 years ago, because we're talking about the whole scene where Dodge put ROADKILL and Fast and Loud together to do a race at the Pontiac Silverdome parking lot at the very first ROADKILL Nights. And I know that many of you have seen the episodes of Fast and Loud, which I have not, and also the episodes of ROADKILL where we did that with the General Mayhem and the Hellcat swap and everything. And so you were working for them at the time, and I remember a lot of my crew going, he's the only cool guy involved in this whole thing. But I disagree with that. Richard Rawlings was fine to me. I know his reputation, his shortcomings and stuff, but he was fine to me. Aaron was completely cool.
Yeah.
So
reputation precedes everyone.
Yeah.
Richard is a cool dude. Aaron's cool as hell. But yeah, I was working on Fast and Loud for 14 months, living in a Hyatt house in Dallas.
Okay.
I still have points from that hotel stay. But yeah, it was the Hellcat challenge. We swapped it into a dart. I say we because whatever, I was on the team. We took it very seriously. They were showing up to win.
And they did.
They did, and I know there's a lot of gentle ribbing online beforehand. I believe you guys had a sketch made of Gas Chicken Garage or something.
Oh, we did. That was hilarious.
Right?
Yes. I forgot about that one. Gas Chicken Garage.
That lit a fire. Things like that lit fires. They're like, we're gonna get these guys, and they really did take it seriously.
But that was the reality show,
of course,
bogusness. But right?
Because you and Finn weren't talking with Richard and Aaron. It was all the production companies talking back and forth, doing the agreements and distributions and stuff like that.
Pilgrim was not cool.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
Sure, Pilgrim's a great production company. If you're hiring, give me a call. But
for me, as talent, the stuff that they wanted me to sign for being in
100%,
Fast and Loud,
100%.
I was just, there's absolutely no way I can do this.
Which, as you've come to learn, falling into the TV side of it, that's just the way that they operate. That's what it is.
You know what? ROADKILL was never that bad because I was always an employee. But anyway,
ROADKILL Nights.
Yeah.
We're out there. We have a good time. We do the race. I meet these guys for the very first time. Your producer at the time, Julia, and I were on the ground in contact, exchanged numbers. We got along well. And for a couple of years after that, it's freelance TV. You call each other, who's got jobs, who's working, whatever. It took a couple of years of me working when she was looking for somebody and blah, blah, blah. But about the time that the Discovery buyout of MotorTrend was coming to fruition, they were kind of panicking and going, we're going to be really tied up doing this whole merger thing. We need somebody to come in and run the shows because we're not going to be able to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So timing worked out, and that was 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago, that I started at MotorTrend, all because you have a sketch of a gas chicken.
Yeah.
Really.
Remember the gas chicken drawing? Had like a waddle.
Yes.
Like balls.
Yes.
I wish I still had gas chicken. That was good.
It's on the internet somewhere, I'm sure.
So out of that whole thing where Gas Monkey guys ended up winning that race pretty dominantly, there's been so much talk over the years and hatred and everything. The bummer to me is that it seems, from the one time I saw Aaron after that deal at the SEMA show, he actually doesn't like me because of that whole thing. Which
really?
Is, I think so. I'm not positive. I don't have his number. I haven't caught up with him after that.
You want to call him right now? No.
You want to?
No, I don't want to. I love Aaron to death. He's a cool-ass dude. I can't picture him holding any sort of grudge.
I hope not.
Over a TV race.
But this was just right after that whole thing, and
sure.
I hope I'm wrong. I got the impression that he thought that the rivalry was real, which is what you said right there.
Imagine.
And certainly it was, because they wanted to win and we wanted to win.
They did.
But ultimately, it was, busting each other's chops.
Sure.
I didn't think that it was anything truly malicious.
No. And listen, I didn't receive it as such, nor did I feel they were receiving it as actual malice. They just, when they do something, they want to do it. Aaron specifically, they do something, he wants to do it really well, put his name out there, and be successful at it. And by and large, he really has been. But yeah, that was a fun day that turned into many, many fun years.
Yeah. So that's Fast and Loud. Let's talk about some of your other shows. Let's start with Engine Masters, because I was hosting Engine Masters. Did you do that from episode 1? No, because it's a 9-year-old show, so no.
I started, I want to say, late season 2, early season 3.
Yep.
Around the time of the episode of, I think it was called Do Cylinder Heads Matter or something like that, because it was one of the first titles that I wrote. And I called it Head Games or something like that. And they were like, that's a little bit too suggestive. We need you to tone that back a little bit.
By the way, the other thing he would do is write the titles and the description for all the stuff. If you go to Discovery Plus or Max, you can still see all these shows streaming, and they all have a title and a description. He did it.
I did, yeah. They got edited a lot. They got truncated down.
By who?
I have no idea. Someone in programming or something like that. Character count was off. I have no idea. But yes, by and large, I did a lot of those.
Huh.
I will say Engine Masters I loved doing.
Me too, because I learned stuff.
Every single time.
But I also squelched you. It was I was kind of ramrodding the creative on that thing, and I feel like you kind of just washed your hands at one point. It was
100%. But okay, so coming into it, this is what I knew. This guy basically started the department, if nothing else, let alone sort of the culture of things. If Freiburger's got an idea that he thinks is good for Engine Masters, great, let's do that. I threw a bunch of ideas out there because I had my own personal curiosities, mechanically, engine-wise. A lot of them were turbo-based, which I've learned it doesn't work well in dyno testing. But yeah, I didn't care. You made my job a lot easier. And what am I going to do? Tell you we shouldn't do that?
Testing.
Right, fair. No, actually, you just made my life easier. Because you just ran with the creative side of it. So, yeah, that was an easy one for me. I just got to watch. I would show up, I would say, probably once a shoot. We would shoot in 3-day chunks.
Yeah, and you'd show up.
I would just show
for
up
a day.
I would show up and hang out. I had no business being there. I wasn't being additive to anything. I was really just there to spend time. And then I would watch every episode
more than once,
3 to 4 times.
Right.
Make notes on it. At a certain point, I had to get them to a time clock. That was part of the job of when you're on TV, it's got to be either 22 minutes for a 30-minute time slot or 44 for an hour time slot, or maybe it's 43:30 because they want to sell extra ad time in that hour.
Well, and that's something that did change when we left YouTube, as we started having to cut to 22s and 44s.
And make things harder, both as a job and to tell a fun story. There were so many interesting portions of tests or fun scenes in a Hot Rod Garage or a Roadkill that had to come out because it would have made it a 44-minute and 1 second episode.
Yeah, that part of it definitely was a bummer.
It was brutal.
But Engine Masters, having watched every single show multiple times and being sick to death of me, do you have a favorite episode?
I mean, it's everybody's favorite episode, and I think you know what that is.
The header bash?
100%. It was mind-blowing to me, because I was this kid who grew up like, oh, I have to dimple a header? I'm going to lose a horsepower. And like, it's just not true.
To give you some background on this, one of the very earliest episodes, second one? First one? I don't even know. Not the first one.
It was first season. Season 1 for sure.
First season. Same thing he said. Everyone has to dent a header for tie rod clearance or a steering box or whatever, and you think, am I going to lose horsepower? Well, we started bashing headers with sledgehammers.
Bashing
We
headers.
ended up bashing these things, and they did not lose power. And people said, well, that's because you used the wrong size header on that engine to begin with. It wanted a smaller header. So we did an episode, okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
Nope, the 1 3/4 was the right one for that deal.
Yeah.
And then, off camera, I think, we had a question about it and wanted to make sure it was legit, and I got another set of headers, the same exact ones, brand new, and we back-to-backed them on a completely different engine and had the same results. The dented headers didn't matter, and I think the reason is that when you dent it, you're not changing the area of it.
Right, the volume remains.
The volume remains. Now, obviously, you can squash a tube completely flat and clog it, but I think when you just put a dent in it, it's displacing the metal enough that it ends up not mattering. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it could matter in a different application, but yeah.
This was the fun for me of watching and being a part of Engine Masters, is that these sort of potentially asinine questions you have in your head, you get to actually test. And what I wish we would have actually done more is so many episodes ended with more questions than we started with.
Oh, every time.
We could have just made, whether it was an extra or a side series or something like that, just doing follow-up tests to answer those questions.
Yeah.
The production cost of it and the scheduling of it would have never allowed it, but like, there's still so many unanswered questions left in the outros of Engine Masters.
What if somebody made a YouTube show like that?
I don't know who would possibly be qualified to do something of the sort.
That's a thought.
Yeah. It's a good one, actually.
Engine Masters, really, I would say, the biggest learning experience of my entire journalistic career. Just because we were able to test stuff no one else took the time or money to test. Because why would they if you were in a production race shop? Whatever.
I love that, and you can probably speak better to this, but every CEO that came through that company basically had the same remark, that they would never greenlight a show like Engine Masters.
Or Roadkill.
Well, that's also fair too.
Here's the premise. Two guys are going to jerk around with cars and have fun.
Right.
That's the premise. That does not sell to TV. I told them to never put Engine Masters on cable TV. It's like, nothing moves.
It did well.
We sit and talk for half an hour.
But it did well.
Yeah. Weird. I did not see that coming. So that's Engine Masters. How about Hot Rod Garage, which was a show that I actually started. Finnegan was the first host. Then it was me and Finnegan. And then it was me and Tony. Then it was Tony. Then it was Tony and Lucky. And then it was Lucky and Alex. That's sort of the progression of hosts.
Yes.
And honestly, the show changed fairly radically.
A lot.
And it was initially conceived because they wanted to start selling sponsorship into Roadkill, and I didn't want to do it because it was bogus. And one of the things I did as a magazine editor for decades was accommodate advertisers, but not to the exclusion of the reader, and accommodate the reader, but not to the exclusion of the advertiser. I held a hard line on, no, this is journalistic integrity, but I can easily talk about this product from this advertiser that I believe in. And that was what we wanted to do with Hot Rod Garage, is they would come to me and go, we really want to sell a deal to Edelbrock. And I would say, you know what? Edelbrock has got this new suspension package for Mustangs that I would genuinely like to try.
Sure, yeah.
But if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to say it doesn't work.
Yes.
And that's how the show got started.
And it got started with a band.
Yeah, with a band. With Jeff DeLynn, who was a sales guy, was one of the people in that band. And that music that we made on the first episode was used all the way to the end.
Still.
Yes. Exactly. But I think you maybe changed it, or actually, I will give Tony credit for changing it to making it more pure entertainment.
I think it changed around the Tony era to being more cars as characters and sort of the journey of the cars, less about the products. Yep. He was really good about maintaining the sort of root of that, where what you were always really good at, which was part numbers. We're putting this in, it's part number XYZ. We chose it because of this.
What you're dealing with.
100%.
Right.
Lucky was never really great at doing that part of it. That always felt to Tony. When Alex came in, that sort of just fell apart altogether. But yeah, it changed from what was effectively a variety show in the beginning.
Yes, which was weird.
With the band. And did you guys, I never really watched the early episodes.
Don't.
They're going to now. Did you guys do like interviews? And like have like guests in and stuff like that kind of variety show? Okay. So we stopped doing that.
That lasted 3 episodes.
Okay.
I mean, that went away very quickly.
Early experimental YouTube is basically what it was. But I came in, I don't remember, I want to say it was season 4-ish, something like that. It was when Tony and Lucky were doing it. I never worked with you on it. The first episode that I ever did was called Hacking the C10 Market, where we took a 67 C10, short bedded it, cut down a long bed to a short bed, threw a bunch of QA1 at it, which I ended up buying off of you many years later.
I bought it from the company. We did an episode of Roadkill Garage painting the bed that you guys left bare.
Yes.
Fooling around with some engine stuff. It was a great truck. I ended up not needing it, sold it back to you for, I think, extremely reasonable price.
It was extremely reasonable.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reasonability.
It was what I had in it.
Right. Well, I think it was what you paid the company for it, so I basically got the company deal on the truck, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hot Rod Garage has gifted me many good things in that regard.
You know what? I have to go back to Tony a little bit, because I always gave him so much credit for being more ambitious than I was on building crazy stuff, and being willing to do it on cars I would never want to work on. And I thought that made it a perfect companion show to what we were doing on Roadkill and stuff, because I like the older things, and Tony was willing to put 2 engines in a late model Impala and what else did they do? To get that Porsche and put an LS motor in it, I think.
I think he did that. That was on us. I think that was either on Stay Tuned, or maybe that was just before he was doing the YouTube, but that was a personal thing that he did.
Okay.
Either way, Tony is a dyed-in-the-wool hot rod guy, but he is also a drifter and interested in all sorts of cars, and just wants to, he went to engineering school. He knows what he's doing. He wants to experiment and try cool stuff, which is why he always loved doing roadkills.
Tony's awesome. And
that's great.
You know what? Lucky added a lot to that show.
Humor.
Yeah.
He was, Lucky would show up every day and basically say, I'm just here to turn wrenches and crack wise.
Yes, I know. I've heard that 100 times.
100
but it's true.
million times. It's very true. He was never very he was never the guy to read the part number.
Yeah.
He just wanted to show up, do the work, get things done, have it ready, have it work. And he's incredibly good at that stuff.
Let me give you a little history on Lucky Costa. He was working on the Overhauling show, which actually had nothing to do with MotorTrend. And that was the show where they would steal a car and make it over for somebody and present it back. Well, the cars were never done when they actually gave them back. And it was Lucky's job to finish the cars and deliver them.
Yeah, and then after doing that for a little while, they roped him into being on camera and working on the cars in the show. So that was his first foray into TV.
And I think his first episode was one that he and I did together on Hot Rod Garage, working on the MSD Atomic van.
Correct.
So I remember at the time, I wanted to bring him in as the co-host, and Julia did, but the higher powers were like, we cannot have an old guy on these shows. We need to bring some youth in. And I remember saying...
He wasn't even an old guy. He just had silver hair.
Right. I was like, can you show me a hit automotive TV show that has 20-year-olds in it? Any? Because at the time there weren't.
Yeah.
So is that kind of a wrap up on Hot Rod Garage?
No, I mean, like, there was so much Hot Rod Garage. Like, the Tony years were very ambitious, as you're saying. A lot of variety. He got into, like, 80s and 90s cars and stuff. Turbo 5-speed Plymouth Voyager minivan.
Yes, that was great.
Was a Tony project. Nothing that would have ever shown up in the earlier years, or like, they're not really the meat and potatoes, which is what we were in the last probably 3 or 4 years directed to do more of. When we got onto TV, there's a lot more, hey, this is what the audience wants to see. They show up for the 50s, 60s, 70s cars. Let's give them what they want. We're not trying to expand the audience. We're trying to serve our current audience.
Well, and part of that was because they launched Super Street. By the way, there's a guy right here driving a 67 Barracuda coupe.
Pretty clean, actually.
Yeah, whoa, don't change lanes into me. Sorry about that merge.
I don't think he was trying to. I think that's just steering.
That's possible.
Yes, Super Street was also an attempt at, well, that was an attempt at going wide. That was an attempt at broadening the audience.
Yeah.
Which, honestly...
But the audience, and this is really no fault of MotorTrend, but the audience on the cable TV network was old guys who like muscle cars.
100%.
And so a Super Street show that involved a bunch of import cars. Is this my exit? No.
No. We're done.
Yeah. Was never going to work, in my opinion.
So I agree. I think that it had a huge hill to climb. It did actually do pretty well. We took a full season to sort of like find our groove and find the audience. But when Amir and Nads were out at events in that audience, they had a ton of people coming up and going, hey, we really like this show, we're watching it, and they were actually watching it on cable.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance, actually take that back. We got greenlit for a second season. We started shooting a second season. We shot an entire episode, except for the payoff, and on the Wednesday or Thursday of that week, we got the email saying, cease productions on these number of shows. It was a few studio shows and a few third-party shows. Super Street was one of them. Me and our producer Johnny, we just said we're keeping this to ourselves. We're finishing out this build, and then we'll let everybody know we don't want to ruin whatever.
Right.
We want to keep going.
I had to have that conversation with the crew on set at Engine Masters.
It was not a fun one.
You know what? I'm gonna defend MotorTrend a little bit here. A lot of the audience gets all torqued about all these cancellations, which we understand. It was our livelihood, but it's also just TV. And those of us who work in it understand that's what happens, that's the way it is.
This was the best job I ever had, far and away, hands down. So much so that it makes me want to not work in TV anymore because I want to go out on a high note.
Yeah.
But that said, I had 7 incredibly good years, and I do understand it from a business perspective. Warner Brothers is in the business of making money, obviously. TV ratings across the board are just down.
Yep.
YouTube is stealing views, TikTok, Instagram, all these places that are stealing people's attention are taking it away from cable TV. What is a good rating today was a terrible rating.
Yeah.
Even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, even more so.
It's what I saw in magazines when I was there. So just the decline of that form of media. And
it's what it is.
And as much as the audience wants me to have a bunch of hate for MotorTrend for this, I don't. They gave me incredible opportunities.
100%.
And honestly, without them, I wouldn't be able to even do YouTube with the hope of success today.
100%.
So.
Yeah. But like realistically, they are going to, the MotorTrend channel still exists. It's going to be around for at least a few more years is my short side of it.
At least. And they will rerun us into the, eternity.
And then that's exactly the thing. They have a few new seasons of episodes they're going to put out as new over the next couple of years.
Right.
But they get similar ratings on old reruns that they do on new shows.
Yeah.
So why spend millions of dollars a year creating new shows when the ad revenue isn't that much better than airing the things that you have tens of thousands of hours of in a library? I get the business move.
By the way, we're driving on the single worst road in all of LA.
I hate that stretch.
I hate that stretch. So yeah, Super Street came and went as an import show. Dirt Every Day.
Dirt Every Day was also... Okay, Dirt Every Day is possibly my biggest regret. Far and away. I love that show. It was a ton of fun to work on. Fred and Dave are incredibly cool dudes, incredibly good at what they do. My regret is that I had the ability to go out on any one of those shoots and really just go hang out and do. I didn't have to do anything. The crew was entirely self-sufficient. The producer, Kristen, really should have been running that show, in all honesty. She handled pretty much everything to do with production. I just never went because I felt like, one, I wasn't being additive showing up. I didn't need to be there. And two, I was just taking money away from the budget that they could use to make a better show.
But you know what? That's you doing your job well.
I mean, yes, but also think of all those cool-ass places I could have gone.
You know,
those off-road excursions I could have been a part of.
Do you need food?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
You?
I might have, but now I'm good.
We'll have time.
You know, it's the same thing I say. My biggest regret on Roadkill is that I didn't leverage it personally to go more places that I wanted to go.
Sure.
Because that was available and out there.
Yeah.
But biggest thing I miss is, you know, all the guys and all of us together on the road.
Yeah.
You know, being able to travel on the company dime is
you're hanging out. I think most people probably imagine but don't fully realize that you're hanging out with your friends for a week at a time.
Yeah.
Your crew are your buddies. Like, you spend a week a month with these people.
I spent more time with, like, Alex Scola than I did with my family.
Yeah.
Because he was on all three of my shows at one point.
Oh, right, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. He was doing Roadkill, he was doing Garage, he was directing Engine Masters for a while. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's like, really, this is family in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, I came by here, we're going to the MotorTrend offices right now. I came by the other day just to say hi and hang out.
Yep.
I also have nothing else to do. So, you know, there's that.
Well, David Kennedy is the guy who is the editor of Hot Rod. He works at NHRA now, and he invented an expression that I think is true here also, which is, you never have a last day at Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Meaning,
Yeah, I like that.
you know, those of us who worked on that magazine share a bond and an interest in it.
Yeah.
And an understanding of what we went through that is different than anyone else. It's almost like, I saw a thing the other day where all the presidents were at Jimmy Carter's funeral, and there's footage of Obama tapping Trump on the shoulder and like whispering something in his ear, and Trump leans over to him. They're having a conversation.
Yes.
These guys arguably, you think they hate each other, but in fact, there's what, 6 guys on Earth who know what it's like to be the president of the United States.
100%.
And those guys share a bond for that.
And much like the president of the United States, the editors of Hot Rod Magazine.
Yeah.
Small knit crew.
There's only so many of us who are still around.
Yeah. That actually, like, it brings up a point of pride for me, I guess. I remember laying under my car as a high schooler and just like, you know, I don't know what I want to do with my life. But, like, if I could work for the magazines, that would be so cool. That would be, like, dream job. I never, like, submitted a writing sample or tried to do it. I just fell into making TV. But the fact that I was able to somehow make it here and basically do the modern version of the magazines, done. I could retire now if I could afford it.
I think we blazed through everything except for, I don't know, let's do like a lightning round on 3K Hooptie Challenge. That was a riot.
That was fun.
That was a show that was me and Brian Loans that we did for Facebook, oddly enough. And it started the concept, started for us, not for the world, of a drag race for $3,000 cars.
Yes.
And it aired on Facebook Watch, which nobody ever saw.
No, they did not.
But I remember the day we launched, they also dropped all of the back episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And
I did not know that. Oh, that's right.
We outpulled it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, we outpulled that. And what was the other thing? Oh, there was no promotion of the show at all. And when the rights reverted to MotorTrend, they put it on the streaming services with no promotion at all. And it went up to, I forget, it was like number 3 on streaming or something like that.
It was a fun show.
It really was.
It's duct tape drags in a TV format, and it's this guy and Loans just bantering and making fun of dudes who signed up to get flogged driving their terrible cars. It was a ton of fun. I also remember on that shoot day, there was like, you know, Facebook network execs there, and the place is packed. It's ready to go. It's a fun event. There's not a bunch of people in the stands.
Oh, so, this is the greatest story in the history of television production.
And this is classic network exec behavior. we really need to get people in these stands. We got to show this like a big event. They sent out one of our producers or PA or
No,
somebody.
they wanted to. They didn't do it.
Did they not go? I was too busy.
They wanted Wiley to do it.
Oh my God.
Tell them.
But they wanted to go send a 15-passenger van and go pick up people off the street to fill the stands for a day. The event was underway.
I remember saying to this guy, I was like, okay, so what you're saying is you want us to cruise in a van to downtown Tucson
Yes.
and say, hey, you want to come with me? I'll
Right.
give you $20.
Best case, we go find a local NA meeting and grab a bunch of people and yeah, it was good luck.
That was nuts.
But yeah, that was a fun show. Yeah, I guess you can go watch it.
Put Up or Shut Up, also with Brian Loans
Love
as
that
a
guy.
solo host.
Yes.
And that one didn't last long either.
Like three seasons.
No.
I think so. Yeah.
3?
I think so.
2.
At least 2. 2 or more seasons.
That's another one that I was involved in the creation of, and I think you were there for the very, very beginning, weren't you?
No, I was not.
Once again,
I wasn't there for the beginning of any. When I started,
you missed the beginning of everything.
well, except for Super Street, Facebook, Magnante, all those things. I jumped into Engine Masters, Put Up or Shut Up, Dirt Every Day, and Hot Rod Garage, all of which were already underway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that one started as a little bit of a different idea, and it became a shootout of like things rather than different things. What it started out as, I believe, is we had done an episode of Hot Rod Unlimited, another show that went away a long time ago, where we did a shootout at Willow Springs on a road race course of a Baja truck and a brand new Shelby Mustang.
Okay.
And so it was a comparison of two things that were completely not alike. But I think that you ended up doing comparisons of like things on that show, right?
They honestly, a lot of it was what we could get.
Yeah.
To make happen. We still did a bunch of dissimilar, but yeah, we did tractor pulls just because we wanted to show this specific niche of racing.
Yeah. But the
yeah,
thing is,
stuff like
the premise of Put Up or Shut Up was never really realized.
Right.
And so that one went away.
Yeah.
And then Holiday Hooptie Challenges that
I
we
didn't do
did.
those.
You didn't?
No.
What was the other one that you mentioned that you did that was a special?
Steve Magnante Supermodels.
Oh, there you go.
Which is my favorite thing ever. I'll give you the very top line of it. I pitched it. This is the only show I've ever pitched as an original idea that got sold and actually got to be made. Again, career pinnacle. I can go do whatever now. It's Steve Magnante, who you all know is an encyclopedia, and also loves model cars.
Yeah.
It is 100% his passion. So I pitched him sitting building model cars like we've all done as kids. It's very relatable, and just telling the history and cool stories and facts about these cars that he's building. It was a 30-minute show. They let me do 4 of them, and only because there was a gap in programming in some July of like 2020 or wherever. We need to fill it. We don't have anything to fill it with. We need a new show. What about that thing that Mike was talking about?
So there it was.
Can he make it happen that we can air it by July? So I had like 3 weeks of pre-pro. Me and Turs got it together. Magnante, when I called him, he was like, if you would have ever pitched any show that I would want to do, it would be this. If you would have ever pitched any show that I would say that MotorTrend would never ever do, it would be this. 100%. But cool, fun show. Loved that show.
So let's address Steve Magnante just a little bit, because very kindly people ask me about him all the time. He did have encephalitis. He was in a coma. He has come out of it.
Yeah.
He is on the path to recovery. He is mentally all there. He'll tell you that he's not quite, which I have to believe him, but he's there. He still has all his facts and figures and his research and everything.
He walks 5 miles a day now.
He does,
Yeah.
but he still is not 100% physically.
He's slowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have him out for our very last event, which was Hot Rod Garage Day, that I think you also created.
I did.
Yes.
Another high point.
And which we should find a way to continue.
I know. I'm down.
Yeah.
I really am.
And so I would say he's on the path to recovery, and the greatest news I can think of is that he is at Mecum Auctions as we speak.
Is he doing it?
And he is actually doing it.
He told me at HRG Day, I caught him the morning after leaving the hotel and just catching up or whatever. And he's like, thank you for bringing me out for this.
Yeah.
Because we had to fly him out. We flew Talon
yeah.
out for that. And he was saying, this gives me the confidence again to go out and do Mecum again. He's
Right.
like, I didn't know if I could stand a whole day, let alone 5 or 7 days, whatever Mecum is. So
Well, didn't
I'm
he used to
super
do
glad that
Barrett
he's doing that.
Jackson?
He did.
Right. And
yeah.
then he's on
I don't know what's
Mecum.
going on with that. Yeah.
Right. I don't know what's up with that
Yeah.
either. So anyway, pretty good news about
He's the best. Go
Magnante.
follow him too.
Yes, please
Yeah.
do. He has a channel. Do you have a channel worth following? Are you going to pursue YouTube at all?
Okay, I consider it.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time. As you can attest, it is a ton of work. I have, I don't know, 1,000 Instagram followers. I have no basis upon which to launch a channel.
Right.
But I have a bunch of project cars that I need to do a ton of work on. And as I'm working, I'm always thinking, oh, don't forget to get that insert shot. Like, it's just in my brain. I just think like that now. So I'm trying to convince myself to do it. I'm trying to get out of my own way to do it. As soon as I do, I will let you know if you let the kind people know. Because if I have no, like, traction, I'm just going to give up really quickly.
Yeah.
I know this for sure.
What is your channel?
I don't have a channel.
Oh, you don't?
No, I have zero. I have nothing. I have an Instagram.
Will it be Mikey P TV?
It might be.
All right,
It's
Mikey
easy.
P TV, also on Instagram, so you can check him out. He's actually Mike Pantaleo.
That is my name.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it right.
No one calls him that here
No,
because
Mikey P.
people can't pronounce his last name. I had to ask him before we started rolling. I've known
It's
the guy
true.
10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Happens.
so that's that. Tell your friends. Roll this thing as a podcast. Now we're going to go load 3 of my cars and drop 2 of them off at his shop.
Bye.
Bye.